my Bill for Thousand Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. We are back with another Maverick Files. This one is titled The Chernobyl 3. And then we've done something on the Chernobyl 3. I think Mr. Ballin's video really intrigued me. And this here was actually suggested by a subscriber. So, like, I'm ready. And if you guys are as ready as I am, let's go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, couple something special. Let's get traumatized.
Transmission.
I like that. Hells yeah, bruh.
April 25th, 1986. Time, 1 a.m. Night shift operators in Chernobyl have been given the order to run a safety test. To do so, they would have to reduce power at reactor number 4, a procedure to determine the stability of the plant's turbines would soon awaken a horror that the world was never prepared for.
Uh-oh.
Reactor 4 has now had its core cooling system deactivated to ensure the safety test would proceed smoothly. This would be among the first of many errors.
Uh-oh. That's no bueno.
Night shift operators would clock in by now and be instructed to begin. However, the night shift is far less secure on this procedure. They were never properly informed on how to perform the safety test.
Uh-oh.
Night shift lowers the power far below the reactor's stability. To compensate, they proceed to remove control rods, which contain materials that absorb the neutrons and prevent additional fissures. This act alone violates the plant's safety guidelines, and still, their idea does not provide adequate results. There is now a buildup of xenon inside the reactor's core, absorbing vast amounts of neutrons.
Uh-oh.
The power begins to return, although still not at standard levels. The plant supervisors demand for the test to proceed. All safety features are, as of now, disabled. The test begins, and the power suddenly surges. Night shift presses the emergency shutdown button, but the control rods malfunction. They jam, and the rods enter the core. Explosions erupt out of Reactor 4. The first blast destroys the 1,000-ton cap off of the reactor, and a fireball releases into the air. The air begins to be contaminated by chunks of graphite and radioactive dust. Radiation pours into the open air. The reactor begins to collapse in on itself from the explosions, as a multitude of fires burn around, reaching the nearby reactor. With this sudden destruction, the night shift nuclear engineer tasked with the test states that Reactor 4 is still intact and functioning. Firefighters arrive on scene. They are unaware of the radiation dumping into the sky. They are not protected. Local officials host an emergency meeting where they decide to quarantine the city of Pripyat. No one shall enter nor exit the city. Police officers on duty are unaware of the radiation dumping into the sky and are too not protected. All fires have been extinguished, aside from a fire deep inside of the reactor core. This fire will burn for several days. By this point, the neighboring reactors have officially been shut down. The Soviet Union would go on to cause additional errors that only make this condition worse.
Oh shit.
Withholding information about the incident, downplaying the severity, lying to the locals, and lying to neighboring countries.
Damn.
When the firefighters arrived on scene, they pumped water all across the reactor, heavily supplying vast amounts of water into the core's flame. This would not put out the fire. However, the basement would become flooded with intense radioactive water. Above the basement, the core's flame set ablaze. Along with the heat of the core, it would create, quite literally, molten nuclear lava. And that is when a problem even bigger than the Chernobyl crisis had been discovered.
Shit.
If the lava melts through the floor and reaches the radioactive pool of water, the rapid temperature change would cause an explosion of radioactive steam that would have the force 3 to 5 megatons, leaving the majority of Europe to be a nuclear wasteland for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. Journalist Stephen McGinty had stated, this would trigger a nuclear explosion that, Soviet physicists calculated, would vaporize the fuel in the 3 other reactors, leveling 200 square kilometers, or 77 square miles, destroy Kyiv, contaminate the water supply used by 30 million people, and render northern Ukraine uninhabitable for more than a century.
It's fucking crazy.
There was no stopping the lava. The basement must be drained by hand. In the basement lie separate valves, originally designed to funnel exhaust steam into a pool of cold water, which would form into condensed waste. The waste would then be transported through pipes for cleaning, but due to the explosions, these valves were ruined and sealed off. They would need to be manually opened by man. Firefighters had already begun removing water from the basement, but the mission was dire. The water level was now down to an estimated knee level, despite the stories.
Oh my lord, making me itchy. I'm stressed the fuck out. So, I imagine there's a billion and one ways Chernobyl could have been 10 times worse than what it was. But just thinking the sheer fact that the firefighters didn't know what was going on and they was just doing their damnedest. Police officers didn't know what the fuck was going on. They was just doing their damnedest, and they're all going to die horribly, guarantee you, because I imagine that radiation was lethal. But just to think that here, this is why it's like really, I think it's really fucked up. How badly radioactive is this? Like, okay, just the water coming off of it and building up in the basement is so radioactive where if it turns into steam, it's going to just destroy most of Europe, man. Holy shit. So the firefighters are going to die. Only thing they're trying to do is save people's lives like they are born to do. Like firefighters and everything, they are a special breed of people, man. They really are. Mad respect. They're out there just doing their job, doing their duty, trying to keep everyone alive, and they're going to be murdered by high-ass radiation levels, because if it's that bad to where just steam off this water, if the lava hits it, is going to just... Oh my lord.
That lurk on the internet, stating that the basement was actually neck deep, but the danger, regardless, was increasing steadily. It was required that a team of men go into the basement and clear the valves, ones which were scattered inside of a myriad of other valves, pipes, and exploded debris. It was like finding a needle in a haystack. Except, if this needle was not found, then it was believed that Western Europe could be eviscerated. This translated to nothing other than immediate suicide for anyone who stepped up. It meant that the team of individuals would have to guide themselves through the murky radioactive basement water, absorbing the contaminated environment to locate the valves,
Man,
with only their flashlights to
brave
accompany them,
motherfuckers.
and hoping the core above them does not melt through and collapse on top of each other. Yet, the internet believes that it was a group of volunteers who accepted their ends and approached the task, when, in reality, the team of men felt that they needed to do it as they were the only ones who knew how to. They couldn't have sent anyone else. And, of course, in that position, I could hardly have said no.
Mad respect, bro.
These would be the three men tasked with saving humanity. Alexei would be asked first, as he knew the building's layout in confidence. Boris would be notified of Alexei's mission and would step up to assist. Finally, Alexei would ask for an additional volunteer to help, as there were technically 2 valves to be opened, and so Valery would take on the mantle. The 3 men would be given radiation readings of the surrounding environment around the pool of water, and astonishingly, the readings were surprisingly optimistic. Optimistic compared to the apocalyptic situation that they were in. Not great, but not as deadly as first anticipated.
That's good.
They would be given plastic hazmat suits, and Boris was given the task to hold an underwater lamp to illuminate the way. Unsure of the path that's ahead of them, and with a ticking lava nuclear time bomb above their heads, the Chernobyl 3 entered the basement.
Mad respect. Straight fucking thugging it, bro. Original goats, homie.
The water beneath them was black, and to avoid as much water as possible, the 3 would traverse along pipes when they could. But within moments, Boris's light would flicker, and it would fade to a dim glow. It's speculated that this could be due to the radiation damaging the tool, but it's not guaranteed. The light would periodically activate, but the majority of the time down under Chernobyl, the 3 men would face doomsday in the dark. Nearly pitch black with only the vision being from behind a glass panel and a dimly lit torch, the men would wander through the corners riddled with debris. They wanted out of the water as soon as possible, with every ticking second resulting in their bodies being more and more exposed to the radiation.
Brave ass motherfuckers right there, bro.
Вон там. Клапаны расположены в этом коридоре.
The light has burnt out. The 3 men had no more light to guide the way. Any misstep could result in a wrong turn or a dead end. But right before the light had finally died out, one of the engineers had spotted a familiar pipe. A pipe that, if followed, could lead them to the valves. First, the men leapt into the dark waters
I know how
and
it
traveled
ends.
across the corridor using only their memory. Then, once all 3 men had attached their hands and arms to the pipe, they would follow it deeper into the time bomb. And there, in the pitch black, were the 2 valves that could save the world. Alexei and Valery would latch onto each valve and twist them open. Suddenly, they would be met with a loud crashing noise. The water would rush out from underneath them, and soon, the realization would settle in. The Chernobyl 3 had in fact just saved half of the world.
Fuck yeah.
Alexei, Valery, and Boris would leave the
Straight
belly of the
fucking
beast
heroes, bro.
and would resurface into the light of the world. There, they would be greeted with cheers and celebrations. These 3 were officially heroes.
Hells yeah.
Over the next 24 to 36 hours, an estimated 5 million gallons of radioactive saturated water would drain out from underneath Reactor 4. The melting lava would destroy the floor that held it and would collapse into the basement, but the water was already gone by this point, and thus, no explosion occurred. The weeks following this event,
Hell yeah.
the 3 men would be hospitalized in dire condition due to the radiation sickness that was developing within their bodies. Alexei described one of his conditions as radioactive tanning, as he watched his legs go from a healthy skin color to splotches of dark, almost black mold that seeped through. Surprisingly enough, and despite what many articles say, like this one from The Trumpet which claimed,
"Within weeks, all 3 had died. They were buried in lead coffins, the lids soldered shut. Even in death, their bodies remained saturated with radioactivity."
Actually, all 3 of the men survived this act of bravery. In fact, Alexei and Valery are still alive to this day, as of writing this script, which was February 2024, so hopefully nothing happens between now and then. Unfortunately, Boris would pass away in 2005, but that was from a heart condition. I'm unsure why multiple sources claimed that all 3 men had passed away after the event, but it's obviously far from the truth.
Really?
Liquid nitrogen would be pumped underneath the now-deceased reactor to cool it down, and by May 6th, the fire that burned inside of the core would finally stifle
So they're not...
and go out. Thank you all for watching. I was in need of a palate cleanse, so I went with something with a happy ending for once. I hope you enjoyed the video nonetheless. I've been your host, timesix, and as always, this has been the Maverick Files.
So they actually lived? I always thought they died. Man, I love this. All right, I really fucking enjoyed that. And so they're still alive as of right now? Except for the one heart. That's crazy shit, bro. All right, I really enjoyed today's story. If y'all enjoyed today's story as much as I did, go down there, leave a thumbs up. Definitely on this. This is the shit. While you're down there going over, slap that subscribe button, become part of the Bill 5000 Nation. And if you like being a part of the B5 Nation that much, go over to the Discord, become a even bigger B5 Nation supporter. And if you really want, you can go and check out the store. We got some amazing merch, drop new stuff all the time. Now, if you really was so interested in all that shit, think about dinging that bell. It might work for you. It might not. But if it do, jump in on one of my premieres, get over in the live chat and be like, hey, Bill, you know something? You say so much shit at the end of your videos now. I'm like, no shit, bruh. You got to. It's the tubes. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. They lived. I don't know if they lived well, but they lived.